Okay, two questions. One, I believe, is pretty simple.
Okay.
In terms of when we're looking at the special purpose vehicle and with the holding company, in order to limit the liability for the companies you acquire underneath that or that you create, is that just a subsidiary? Is that how you do that?
Correct. Yeah, this is a wholly owned subsidiary.
Okay, fantastic. And my other question is, Brian and I are working on a couple deals, and we had a question about de-risking a larger client concentration, and Brian can kind of give you a little bit more detail there. But we're just curious about, with a company that has a client that's basically taking up like 40%, kind of how to de-risk that. Brian, would you have anything else to add to that?
No, I think you covered it. It's a significant percentage of revenue. I think it's like half of the revenue. And so what are strategies before we get to the sort of offer LOI stage, valuation, like what are strategies kind of de-risk that?
Yeah, so there's a few. You would address that with an earnout, so that you would say that client has to remain for a certain period of time in order for 40%, let's say, or maybe 20% of the earnout to be triggered. That's the easiest way to do it. The other way would be in the reps and warranties with some sort of adjustment to purchase price based on something that an event that would happen. I like the earnout better because the adjustment to purchase price means you're agreeing to pay the amount that they're saying, and then it only gets defeated if you prove that this other thing happened or didn't happen. Whereas the earnout, you're agreeing to pay a lower price and you're saying, but if this thing happens, I will pay you more. And it changes kind of the burden from one person to the other. On the earnout, the burden is more seller focused. On the feasible, adjustment to the price kind of thing, that's more a buyer focused onus. So that's the easiest way to do that. You could also build it in, if they don't like earnout, you could call it a bonus. So I'll give you a bonus. Nice. I'm only willing to pay this because you're going to definitely take a ding because this one, if we were to lose this one, and I'd run the pro forma too. If we were to lose this one customer, then our profit margin, because of our fixed expenses being covered 40% effectively by the profits from this customer, are going to represent a significantly higher percentage of the revenue that we've got, and therefore our profit margin percentage would go down by 40%, right? So therefore, I want to take a 40% adjustment in the purchase price, but if that client stays for 12, 24, 36 months, then I'm willing to add that back, right? So let's say maybe that worked out to be a 30% haircut on the price. I'd say, so what I'm willing to do though is each year for 3 years, I'll add a 10% earnout or a 10% bonus as long as that customer continues to remain at the current volume, not the current percentage, because maybe you guys will add more or maybe you'll lose other customers, but at the current volume of sales or profitability. Profitability would be harder to get them to agree on because that's going to be up to you to some point. But that's the way you would typically address that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's super helpful. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Listen, right about mid-December, I took over a meetup group with about 300 people it's like a grow your business type of meetup group.
Great.
And I'm planning my first, it'll actually be an online meetup in a couple weeks. And the basis is going to be using the mastermind to improve the business. Also, I'm using it to get to know the members. And at the same time, I want to be able to position myself to be able to look into any CFE deals that may be there. I think maybe they're not larger businesses, but there may be something, from references and stuff like that. Your opinion, what would be the best way to go about that, or a good way to promote it?
To promote the meeting to the group that you've already got, you mean?
Well, I already got a meeting set up. I'm thinking of the best way to kind of get them involved and kind of acclimate to the idea.
To get them acclimated to the idea of?
referrals and seeing the value in the meetings, things like that.
Yeah. So
the
key would be to create a compelling meeting. And the best way to do that would be for you to poll them. It's a meetup group. So it's using meetups online, meetup.com. Is that correct?
Correct.
So Meetup allows you to contact the members. What I would do is I would send a poll to the members and say, what are the topics that you're most interested in addressing in 2023 at our first meeting, which is currently scheduled for whatever the date that you've got. And then let them tell you the things that are their biggest desires to have information about. And then I would propose the meeting. When I announce the meeting agenda, it would surprisingly enough contain all of the things that they said that they wanted the most to learn about. That's really, just everything you do to get the highest engagement. Ask the people that you are going to be engaging with what they want the most, and then give it to them. Let them know that that's going to be there at the meeting. And then when they come to the meeting, you can say, I'm really excited. I'm, took over this group because I am a deal person. And so I want to support you guys in growing your companies and being better entrepreneurs. I've asked you in the poll, what were the things that were the most important to you? You guys said 1, 2, 3, 4. We're covering those at these meetings. The reason that I'm doing this, my selfish reason for doing this, is that I'm looking for deals. And so then tell them what your acquisition criteria is and say, so if any of you guys are thinking about selling, or any of you know anybody that meets that acquisition criteria, I'd really appreciate if you would refer them to me, and I will continue to provide you with all of the things that will help you be better entrepreneurs. That'd be kind of my pitch to those people.
Cool. Great. Thanks. What about masterminds with them? Would that be something good, worthwhile pursuing?
Yeah, and I think a mastermind as an upsell for the meetup group to be lead gen, to then upsell those people into a mastermind group would be a fantastic way to go, for sure. And we have the mastermind sprint that kind of lays out how to do that step by step by step.
Yeah, I'm currently reviewing that now.
Awesome. Good.
So what would you think would be like because they're probably smaller groups, a more applicable price for a mastermind?
Not less than $2,500 for the year, and probably not more than $25,000.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Roland. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. And so part of it, James, is that I would look at is if somebody has a business that is generating $100,000 in profit, which would include their salary, then you're probably not going to want to go over between 5 and 10% of that, because it's just too much to take otherwise, based on kind of what they're making. That's why most of the masterminds that we do, we have a minimum floor of $1 million for people to be involved. And at that point, for them to pay $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to be a part of it isn't such a significant part of what they've got. Now, it doesn't mean that people that are only making $100,000 a year couldn't go out and find a loan or get an investment from somebody or friends and family their way to get more money. But I think that I'd probably, if I'm focused on, let me get you from 6 figures to 7 figures, I'm thinking that it's probably more in the $5,000 range, $2,500 to $5,000 if it's virtual, and 10 to 15 if it's in person. And the in-person would typically be anywhere from once a month to as few as 3 a year. And then if they get up into the $1 million range, I think you're more in the $25,000 minimum up to about $100,000 for what the mastermind would fee would be, and lower if it's virtual. All of those 25 to 100Ks, I'm thinking more of in-person meetings.
Great. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Roland.
Yes, sir. You're very welcome. Good luck. I like it.
Very good. Thank you. Bye.